we're here talking about the intersection of work and life and what happens, what kind of growth happened at that intersection. And so I just want to dive in and let you tell me about a time in your life when something happened at that intersection that eventually really was a catalyst for growth in your life.
Yeah. Thank you for wanting to talk about this topic. I think oftentimes when you get to a certain level in your career, everyone wants to know more about the career side and the more like educational side of how you got to where you ended up getting to. And
Mm,
what I've found out in time is that as you move up in your career, you actually start to realize how important other factors of your life are, and that the thing
yeah.
that you work so hard at might, end up being deprioritized as you get older and as you like get into different phases of your life. So I just think it's amazing that we can talk about our stories in a more holistic manner here versus it just being a
Yeah.
specific track about like success and business and marketing and all that fun stuff. So yeah, as far as that moment in my life, I find that it's rare that you have a situation or a scenario that unfolds that makes you pause and rethink things. And I think I've heard a lot of friends talk about health
Mm,
issues or a death of a family member as being that catalyst and trigger. And I think those are, somewhat more traumatic in my mind. And I haven't, yet fortunately had to deal with that. But I I see actually something similar with like a lot of my friends in Los Angeles who may have lost their homes because of the fire. They're also at
yeah.
that intersection where they're
Yeah.
now step back and reprioritizing everything, from the stuff that they had to the life that they built and
Yeah.
what they do with their life moving forward. So it's rare when you have something that um, disrupts your life and your routine and your career plan. I'll call it that in a way. But for me, it was when I was fired at TikTok, and at that moment in my
Mm,
career was the most fun that I had ever had. Being able to be part of TikTok
yeah.
early on and help grow the community and help build the brand and help expand it to different regions was probably one of the highlights of my career, to the point where I was doing an interview about a year into the role. It might have been either Ad Age or some publication that had given us some award. I think we were like Ad Age's Marketers of the Year or something along those lines. And in one of the questions,
Mm,
the journalist had asked me if you could trade places with any CMO at any company today, who would it be and why? And normally I feel very comfortable answering a question off the cuff and, not having like a prepared or canned answer. But in that moment, I was just cycling through all of my favorite brands. I was cycling through all the people in the industry that I admire and respect. But in that moment of my life, I could not think of a single company or CMO that I'd want to trade places for because TikTok was having unprecedented growth. It was sort of like the darling of the marketing industry. And we were, really moving quickly and evolving the way that marketing was happening, that I said at the time, honestly, I don't want to sound, like cliche, but I feel like I have the best job in the industry. I'm guiding a brand that I'm very excited about. And I don't think there's anyone that I would trade places with. And it's in those moments where you feel almost like content and almost like you're at like the peak of like a summit where I think like
yeah.
whether you believe in a higher power spiritually or religiously or whatever, it's in those moments that I feel you're thrown a challenge or something that comes your way that makes you reevaluate everything. And it was in that moment where
Mm,
I literally said, "There's no place else I'd rather go. There's nothing I know places I would trade for." That I ended up getting the rug pulled out from under me and ended up not having that job anymore from, external forces and not my choosing, and getting to the point where I had to take a step back, reevaluate the journey that I'd been on, and reprioritize what was most meaningful in my life and what was important. Because I recognized at that moment that what you built and spent all of your time and effort and energy to cultivate could be
yeah.
taken away instantly. So why not try to like build around the things that are more foundational? and not just the thing that you might be chasing because society or, whatever it is telling you to go chase.
Yeah.